I'm Ranger Mario, and today I have a special guest from Jill from American Home Warranty.
American Home Shield?
Home Shield.
Yep.
She was a teacher. Now she's a representative for the home warranty company. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing up to.
Okay, so I've been in this business for 2 years now. I was a teacher for 23 years, and I'm basically doing the same thing now. I'm just not in a classroom. Right. So I'm teaching realtors and their clients like how to use a home warranty and why you would want one. And so that's basically, just basically going from office to office, and I get to come to Keller Williams all the time, and I get to see Mario, and so I'm just teaching agents how a warranty is important and how people can save money.
What exactly does a home warranty cover policies?
Okay, so home warranties, you got to think of homeowner's insurance versus homeowner's warranty. So your insurance you have to have. And anything with like a natural disaster or a big, huge leak from a pipe bursting is going to ruin your floors and all that. A home warranty is not going to cover that. So a home warranty is mechanical failures, is what I usually say. It's much easier to understand that if something's mechanically failed, so your AC is no longer cooling, your water heater no longer has hot water, your garbage disposal won't work, your dishwasher is not cleaning the dishes. Those are going to be mechanical failures. So we would repair them, and then we would save you money based on, you wouldn't have to, spend your own money for it. You'd have a contractor from us who would come out, and then we repair them.
Is there a misconception when you're talking to clients about it between the differences between insurance and a policy?
Yeah, I get a lot of calls from from clients who will say, I'm calling about insurance. And I always say, well, if you have to have insurance, you don't have to have the home warranty. And it seems to be a little gray area for a lot of people because they think that also a home warranty is going to cover, every single thing. And it's only covering certain components. But there is a misconception completely because they don't realize they have to have one and they don't have to have the other.
Right, yeah. And so living in Houston or in Texas, we usually have a lot of AC problems. Is there a common default or common issues?
Yeah, so you always do an inspection report, right? And so with an inspection report, what a lot of people don't know is an inspector actually doesn't open up the unit. They do the differential, which is where they shoot the gun at the vent and they see the difference in the temperatures. And then they, look at the overall condition of the unit. They don't do any pressure tests or anything like that. So if an inspector says, yeah, the AC's running and it's doing fine and it's cooling as it should, it isn't a thorough check of the AC. So a lot of misconceptions is my AC was running fine and then I got a home warranty and y'all should cover it. Well, if there's any differential that's off or anything like that, you would want to get an AC licensed contractor to look at it. So I think AC is the biggest issue because ACs break constantly because the AC runs constantly in Texas, right?
Yeah.
And so immediately people want to replace the AC. Well, a home warranty company is going to repair. We're not going to replace immediately. We'd be out of business if we did, right?
Yeah.
So
they can be very expensive.
Right.
Is there any limits on coverage?
Yeah. So if you're talking about an AC, a real estate plan, an AC is covered up to $15,000 per unit. And we don't have a limit to the number of units. So if you have a 3,000 square foot house and you have 2 units, an upstairs and a downstairs, we would cover both. You don't have to pay additional. But yeah, so we have a limit for that. Then if you get appliances added onto your home warranty, then you're having 2 different plans. A top plan would cover up to $7,000 per appliance. And then the middle plan, Shield Plus, would cover up to $4,000 per appliance. So you do have those limits. The top plan has roof leak repair, and that's up to $1,000. So that's not a lot of coverage, but if you think about it, your roof, you're going to call for insurance. You're not going to call for us. Us is non-structural leaks, and we can fix the leaks up to $1,000. So those limits. And American Home Shield has really good limits. And I'll tell you the reason why is because we've been around the longest. American Home Shield's been around 52 years. And we kind of have studied what clients need or what homeowners need in terms of you need bigger limits. I mean, you can't go get your AC fixed if your limit is only $700. You're not going to get much fixed, right? But ours is up to $15,000. So limits is really important when you're shopping around for home warranties.
Right. What happens if an appliance or a system can be replaced?
Can't be replaced?
Cannot.
Okay, so then our company will give you the cost that it would cost us to replace it for what's comparable to what you have in the house. So if you buy a house that has a really old stove, then we're going to give you what's comparable to the age of that stove. And then usually our company will give you like a Lowe's card. You get to choose. And so once you go into appliances or purchasing of a new unit, they'll give you your options. American Home Shield will.
Right. So what's the process after the call? So a customer calls about their range is no longer working. What's that?
In the truck, and they'll be able to just fix it right then. A lot of the times, they're going to have to order a part. And so they'll go back to us, they'll authorize that you have this plan, we're going to pay for this amount, and we're going to order the part. So sometimes with a home warranty, it could take a week to get the part in and then go fix it. So, does that make sense?
When does a coverage start?
For a real estate plan, it starts the day you close. Closing date, immediately if you are moving in that day and the AC runs a ton, and all of a sudden it breaks and it's not working because that AC didn't run a lot before and nobody lived in the house or whatever, you could make a service call that day because you have an inspection report that said the AC was fine before, right? Yeah.
Can a consumer request their own servicer?
Contractor? No, not with American Home Shield because we have licensed, vetted contractors that we choose, that we have made sure are good contractors and that we're going to send out to your house.
Right. So do y'all keep track of the contractors?
Yes, that's a great question. And a lot of people actually don't go in and do this. For American Home Shield, when a service call is all done, the claim is all finished and we fixed it or whatever they've chosen to do, we have a survey that we send out. And on the survey, if they don't get the top rating, then we send less calls to them. So a lot of the contractors want to do really well. I'm not going to tell you that there's not bad contractors out there because there just are in every company, right? Yeah. So we are trying to catch that as much as possible. So it's very important when you're done with the service call to go in and do the survey.
So is there any refund policies if a consumer is no longer happy?
Is there, you mean like, you mean to cancel it?
Yeah.
There's a cancellation fee. Usually on a real estate plan, your title company paid for the year. So if it's within the first, I think it's 30 days, and they already used it, and if they're mad, they can get the money back, but the money has to go to the title company. If it's after 30 days, and it's, I actually don't know the exact times. There's a process that our company has to follow by law on a contract.
What's the other policy plans do y'all have?
So there's 3 real estate plans. Okay, so there's the Shield Essential, which is for a single family home under 5,000 square feet is $475. That's going to cover your water heater, your plumbing, your electrical, and your AC and your heater. Okay, so that's just those big major systems. If you have a condo townhome, then that one's $350. If you go to the next plan, you want to add your appliances, then it's $640. And for a condo townhome, it's $515. And then if you want the very top plan, which is Shield Complete, that plan is $835. for a single family home, and for condo townhome it's $710. The key to that one, I'll tell you guys, is the unlimited refrigerant. So that would be like Freon. Freon is super expensive. I've seen this summer up to $180 per pound. And if you add that and you don't have unlimited refrigerant, you need 9 pounds, over $1,000 in refrigerant. Right. So you would really want that top plan. If you are a realtor and you're telling someone about the plans, make sure they know that Freon is something that's important. You get roof leak repair added to that one. And again, that's up to $1,000 limit. And then you get one free HVAC tune-up, which is where you have a contractor come out and just service and make sure your unit's running well. So you can do either the AC or the heater. So you get that when you don't have to pay the service fee. So those things come with that top plan. So on the middle plan and the bottom plan, those only cover $10 per pound of refrigerant. So if you needed 9 pounds, we would only cover $90. And yet out of 1,000 something, you're not getting much coverage on that. But you got to know that when you're choosing your plan.
So what if a client buys an appliance midway through their plan?
Would it still be covered? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You can bring appliances into the house. So if you have a second fridge, you can bring that in. It still would be covered. Any appliance that's in the house when you put in a service call would be covered. Yeah, so absolutely.
Good to know. When was the last time you tried something new?
That I tried something new? Ugh. I don't even know. That's a good question because I'll tell you, I know what it is. I kind of am very interested in starting a garden. So I started with like a potted garden, and I did like 4 different kinds of tomatoes. So I want to do a fall garden. So if I could keep those alive, and I have 2 really big dogs, so if they don't eat them, eat the tomatoes, then I know I can have a garden. So I started a tomato garden, and I'm doing okay, so I might try a fall garden. If I can plant it in pots, because I can't build a whole garden. So that's my newest thing, I guess.
What is the most important thing you ever done for yourself?
Well, probably setting a good example for my kids. I really think that if I'm setting a good example for them, then they're going to turn out to be really good adults. So
right.
At least that's my intent.
Are you happy with yourself at this point?
I am. I love what I'm doing. I don't miss teaching at all. My kids are getting older, and they're at an age where I'm starting to have a different kind of relationship with them. So I'm in a very good place in my life right now. Super happy. There's nothing for me to be upset about. Life is good.
Right. Where do you find peace?
With my family. Being with my family is the happiest moment for me. I really like to cook too, though. I'm really happy cooking. When I don't have people to cook for, it kind of makes me sad. To be honest, success for me is happiness. So if I'm happy, then I'm successful. I can say money, but I don't want to say that because I'm always striving to make more money, but I definitely feel like if there's something in my life that's not making me happy, then I need to figure out how to make it, so I will be successful with that. So happiness.
Right. Is there anything you would never give up on?
My kids. Yeah, my kids. Or myself. Like, I won't give up on whatever it is I try to do. I give everything 100%. My parents taught me that. Like, you don't do anything halfway. Yeah, I won't ever give up on anything I take on.
Is there anything you would change about it?
About me?
Yeah, your life or...
if I was like God and I could change it, I would say my husband passing away when my kids were little, I would maybe change that so that they had their dad. Somehow I'm lucky enough to still be here in this world and raise them. But then that would mean I didn't meet my stepchildren and my husband. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of regrets at all. No.
Right.
I just am not. I'm a happy person because my first husband passed away, and he's like, I mean, that was a down, sad time, and I'm here. So there's nothing to be upset about. Life is good, Yeah. I got through it. It was hard, but life is good. It's too short to be upset and sad. And you might think this is not real by me being so happy, but I really just genuinely, it takes a lot for me to be upset.
Right.
So.
Is there any lies you often tell?
No. I mean, I'm a faith-filled person, and if I tell a lie, I've got to go to confession. So I would say try my hardest not to lie about anything. I do not like when people lie to me. So do unto others. So no, absolutely. I don't think there's a lie at all that I tell myself or tell other people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you seem to be a family-oriented person.
Yeah.
How do you balance life and work?
To be honest, I haven't been very good at it lately. I've been more working than family time. And that's a challenge in a way. But then I'm learning to put the phone away, put the computer away, and, drawing a line. I really like to help people. So if a client wants to call me at 8 o'clock and we're eating, my husband will be like, "Oh, why are you answering it?" So I will text and say, but I don't know how I'm balancing that very well. But I do. My family always will come first. Always. So.
What makes you most uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable? I get really uncomfortable when someone questions my character. I get really uncomfortable when someone questions like what I'm saying as if I don't have integrity. So, yeah, I mean, that's super uncomfortable for me. And then I'm very vocal, clearly. I don't stop talking. I want to confront it and not sit back and think about it for a minute. So, yeah, when people are questioning my integrity or my intent or what I'm saying, I went to UT, Hook 'em Horns. Mm-hmm. I played soccer in college. Did you know that, Mario?
Never told me.
I didn't. No, I was on a soccer scholarship at UT. I hold a soccer record there.
Really?
Yeah, an NCAA record.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, the old woman. So I'm a Longhorn through and through.
If you could go and tell yourself, your 20-year-old self, an advice, what would that be?
Just not to take life too serious. And I still have a hard time with that, but find peace and happiness in everything that you're doing. I think one of the best advice I ever got was just because someone's upset with you doesn't mean you did anything wrong. And so hanging on to what other people think, because it really only matters what God thinks. Hanging on to what people think about me or look at me or say is very hard in this world to not worry about it, right? But 20 years ago, I would have told myself to stop worrying about what other people think and just, find happiness and peace in what you're doing. And, if you're going to bring me down, then I'm going to go away from you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned faith a lot. And during hard time, as in right now, it's being questioned. Sometimes we get seen as the bad person. How do you keep yourself from keep going and doing what you do and having that faith around you?
I mean, I went to Catholic school my entire life. So I have that instilled in me. So the Holy Spirit's in me, I think, and not to get too much on religion, but my parents did a really good job of instilling, not just what my faith said, but what, living it out and right from wrong. Those are just good core values, whether you believe in God or not. That's how the world's going to go back to being nice to each other. So if I go to a restaurant and I don't like the food or I don't like the service, then I just don't go back. I don't need to tell them they're horrible. I don't need to, I still give a decent tip, but they weren't above and beyond. Or the waitress, it wasn't her fault the food wasn't good, right? So I still give her a decent tip, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just be kind, do unto others. So this world is hard to live in right now. And it's super hard. I think I'm a super strict mom. And I think my children have had a hard time with that. Because there's not a lot of people in this world who are strict. So I think I don't care how happy they are in terms of when I say I'm not buying you a car or I'm not paying, giving you money each month in college, you're going to have to figure out, I'll get a job. And because that's what my parents did. Yeah. And if they hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be a hard worker.
Right.
If I was given everything when I was younger, I wouldn't be who I am today. So, I quit teaching. I just suddenly up and quit teaching at 23 years of teaching. I'm 48, so I was 46, 45 and a half. Uh-huh. It takes a lot to up and change your job. It was super scary.
Yeah, it is.
But then I was like, well, whatever I decide to do, I'm just going to work as hard as I can. So, and that's what I do. I work hard completely at whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of changes with the education system. Obviously, school is not what it used to be. Is there any advice you could give out to those upcoming teachers?
I think that, one, use your resources of your older teachers who have been around and they've watched the change. 2, don't make excuses. Set a standard, and if you want to set that standard, then stand by it. Remember that you're raising children in the classroom to be whatever next grade they are, to be good people, and don't just stick to the books and stick to the curriculum. Teach them how to be children and how to be good people, or how to have an interaction with someone, so when you see those things happening, you can still make a comment about it. Have discipline. Don't try to be their friend.
We've seen that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a bad thing once they get taken out of that spot or they get fired.
Yeah.
We have seen over the past year here in the Houston ISD, there's principals that built that relationship, literally have them as friends. When once they were fired or taken down from their spot,
yeah,
it took a toll on the community.
The fact that you can't take a cell phone away from a kid without them beating you up in certain schools, that's happened. Or you can't say no. I had plenty of parents who questioned me. You called my child fat. I'm like, ma'am, I did not call her fat. Well, she said you did. And I believe my daughter. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that you don't believe me, but I don't come to school to call kids names. And I've been doing this for so long. And I said, I treat the children in my classroom the same as I treat my 5 kids. And so I think you can't change society necessarily with the parents and the way they raise their kids. Because I guess as a teacher, I felt like sometimes towards the end, I was just hitting my head against a wall, right? But you can change your environment in your classroom. So I don't care what you do at home. You can cuss all you want at home, but you're not going to cuss in my classroom. So you set your standards as a teacher, right? This is my classroom. You don't get to come into my classroom and disrespect me or disrespect the kids or disrespect yourself.
Right. So,
and the parents may not agree with it, but any parent would always be able to come into my classroom, but they're not going to take the time. A lot of them never, took the time out of their workday to come sit in my classroom.
Right.
So, be open, be transparent,
Right. Is there a specific topic you're an expert on?
I don't think I'm an expert on anything. I think every day I learn something new about home warranty. Every day I learn something new about people. And not everybody's the same, right? So I think that's why I like this job so much, is because I meet so many new people every day. And how do you not love that? I really do love being with people. I'm such an extrovert. So if I don't know. I don't think I'm an expert at anything. But I do know a lot about home warranty. But I'm still learning something new every day when something new happens and, oh, we cover that, we don't cover that. So
Right.
Yeah.
What was the transition like going from public school to the business world?
Well, one, my job now has a lot of freedom. So the fact that I'm structured and disciplined in type A, as a teacher, you had a set schedule all day long. You went to one building. And for my entire life, since I was a little kid, I was in a building for school. And then I became a teacher and I was in a building. And I went from whatever, 7 o'clock in the morning till 4 or 5 o'clock at night, right? Now I have the freedom. So that was probably the biggest change. The transition was changing the schedule in my mind. I don't necessarily have to start so early this morning because I have a happy hour tonight with an office, right?
Right.
So I work at home now when I'm not out at offices. That transition was difficult.
Remotely?
Yeah. So we had to build a little office in my house. So we actually took a dining room, changed it into so we redid the house. We actually added a bedroom basically and a closet. Well, it was an office, but it had a closet. Anyways, I had to learn to just walk away from the computer. Like if nothing was going on and my husband put a movie on that I didn't want to watch, I'd just go into the office and start finding offices. How can I get more production here? How can I do this? Who should I contact tomorrow? And I would just make lists. So
Right.
Yeah.
Prospecting.
Yeah, for sure.
Level. And we have seen the growth in our U.S. soccer, especially women's soccer.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel going from like the Niners when they won their first championship at a world stage to what it has become now, going back to back, being dominant?
I think USA soccer right now for women is in a transition year. They finally did great this year, but they're all young. Like I was saying, I only know one person now on the team that I remember back from. I mean, I still watch, right? But yes. I mean, in terms of the people I watched, I was like, oh my gosh, they're all young. And that reminds me, I'm getting really old.
Right.
I think there's too much. One, there's too much precedence put on fame for what they're doing, and I understand they're on a world stage, but kind of like college athletes getting paid now to play. Well, your school is paid for, so I don't necessarily agree with any of it. But I think that the world's coming down to money and fame, and it's not going to matter when we die how much money we have or how much fame we have.
Right.
To be honest, so teaching people around me that. My kids, my family, their friends. I think it's hard because the world's so
materialistic.
Yeah. And me. Like, I'm not happy. Well, then find a way to be happy.
Right.
Find what makes you happy, but don't tell the world that it's their fault you're not happy.
Besides what you do on a day-to-day basis, how do you find inspiration when you're not in your best?
Let's see. Well, I went to doing social media a lot for work. So then I started doing too much on my phone. Okay. So then I started following inspirational pages so that would fall up on my feed, come up on my feed a lot more. Mm-hmm. So a lot of inspirational messages, which have really changed my mindset to be stop stressing or to live in the moment, all those things. My other inspiration would be my husband who passed away just because he's no longer got to do what I'm doing, right? And he's not here to watch his kids. My parents, my dad's no longer alive. I used to fight with my mom a lot, and I don't fight with her at all anymore because I'm like, life is too short. It's not worth it. And she raised me. She did everything she could, and I love her. One day she won't be here. I get inspiration from the Bible sometimes, although I should read it more.
Why are you the way you are?
because my parents raised me the way they are. I tell this to my daughters about when they're dating. They're not married yet. So I always say you learn something new from every relationship. So my experiences in my life have made me who I am. Did I know I could be this strong of a person? Probably, because my dad was so strict and my mom was strict. So, like, they made me that way. But, like, once I went through that traumatic time in my life, like, I was able to handle it. And now, look at me. So now I always say to my kids, if I could get through this and you saw mom get through this and be a single mom, then you can do anything. There's nothing you can tell me you can't do. Because I thought I couldn't do it either. And now, look at me, right? I'm doing just fine. And we're 17 years later.
Such as like vacationing.
The beach. Absolutely love the beach. We don't ever get to go there enough. I have 2 dogs, so we try to get just out to like Surfside and just take them. But yeah, I love the waves. I love the sunshine. If I'm not at the beach, then I want to be by my pool in my backyard. I like the sun. So
Right.
I'm going to be like leather when I'm older, you know. I actually put sunblock on now. I didn't used to when I was little. So
What makes you proud?
I'm proud of my kids. I mean, they don't always make me proud. They make some bad decisions, but in general, I'm very proud of who they are becoming, where they are right now in their life. Yeah.
So, you were single. You're a widow mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what did you do to overcome that? What was the process like?
Well, I'll tell you the honest truth. They were 5, 3, and 2 months old. So I didn't have a lot of free time to do anything other than just live in the moment. I still taught, so I was a teacher still. I mean, I had a 2-month-old, so I was really just kind of, every day was just getting through the day. And as time passed, you know, I got better about being able to take them with me. Or, I mean, I tell the story to everybody all the time, and I say, you know, at one point I was taking 3 to the grocery store, and it was not easy. I mean, you've got one in the cart, and one walking that, you know, you're saying, stay by me. And one of them threw up with a full grocery cart, threw up all over the floor. And I just picked them up and I walked out of the grocery store. And I was like, so we're not getting groceries today. You know, like, you just learn to manage. I remember my pediatrician telling me, I was complaining about going to a restaurant, how people were looking at me and my kids were screaming and crying, and and she was like, don't go out to a restaurant. Like, learn, you know. So I think day by day, it was something I just kept, you know, figuring it out. So.
Right. When do you feel the most like you?
Oh.
Like you're.
I mean, probably, I used to always say on the soccer field, because I absolutely love soccer. Yeah. Every worry in the world goes away on the soccer field. But I would probably say if I was at home cooking and my kids are all laughing and it's loud in my house and they're talking and they're all around me, that's when.
Right.
Yeah.
So, where can they find you?
The kids?
Or like the public, if someone's interested in home.
Oh, in home warranty. So Jill Raymond is, my phone number is 281-827-519. And my email is Jill Raymond, RAYMOND, at the letter A, the letter H, the letter S.com for American Home Shield.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure having you.
Good to see you, Mario.
See you.
Thanks for having me.